Greetings my friends and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm going to be taking you through another little bunch of Heavy Relics, another batch of my latest vinyl acquisitions. This time, however, all 5 articles are from the legendary first wave of black metal, or maybe you consider them to be part of the NWOBHM, the new wave of British heavy metal. Regardless of what you want to pigeonhole them as, they are certainly well-renowned, genre-defining legends. Absolute legends. And I am, of course, talking about the mighty Venom. From Newcastle upon Tyne, this legendary band has had such an impact and such an influence on so many bands. They are one of the true heritage heavy metal bands. Of course, influenced, or one of the main influences of what then became the second wave of black metal, alongside the likes of Celtic Frost, of course. But Venom are an all-time favourite band of mine. I absolutely love Venom. They really did blow my mind as an early teen when I heard black metal and Welcome to Hell, and a little bit later At War with Satan. But even their more recent material, I know they've undergone pretty drastic lineup changes and different members coming and going over the years. That aside, I would honestly say that Venom are an absolutely essential band, and I still think they remain relevant and extremely good to this very day. Their last couple of albums, for example, such as Storming the Gates or From the Very Depths, they are of impeccably high quality. That is punishing metal. But this little batch of 5 vinyls I've got here, there is only one studio album in this batch. All of them came from different sellers on eBay, in fact, but all of them I got for an absolute steal. So I'll take you through these 5, starting with this one that I just showed you a moment ago. This is entitled Live from the Hammersmith Odeon Theatre 1985. So the first problem I have, because there's a couple of problems with this, is that the album cover is practically just the cover of Welcome to Hell, with a slightly different colour scheme, slightly darker effect there. That's the first problem. The second problem is that it's very difficult to actually track down at all online. So I couldn't, when I saw it, I thought, I've never heard that, so I want to check it out on Spotify. Couldn't check it out, couldn't find it on YouTube. So it kind of led me to think, is it really an official thing? Is it just a release that was issued many, many years after the fact, and actually really it's totally out of context? Don't know. But this was released in 2016 or 2019, I beg your pardon, back on Black Records, who I think do a pretty decent job of making quite hard to source material available again, and I really do think that they've released some brilliant things over the years, this being one of them, because the only way that I could hear this was actually to listen to the physical format, to actually put the records on and give it a spin. Now Venom, if you're a fan of Venom, then you will know. If you're not a fan but you may have heard of them, then I'm sure that you've probably been made aware that Venom are a pretty fast and loose kind of band, in the vein of Motorhead, for example, where you've got that kind of speed, you've got that punky aggression. It's metal, yes, it's heavy. Venom, I'm talking about here, it's definitely metal, but it's very loose. It's very raw. They're not necessarily going for Musicians of the Year award, but the songs are absolutely fantastic. And I'll just show off that lovely red vinyl. It is really gorgeous red, I must say. Really like that. Both discs are the same. Lovely red, beautiful stuff. So I put on this album after reading one review of the album that I managed to find online. I only managed to track down one that was a proper review, really. And that one review stated that this album is pretty crap. That the sound quality is awful, that the band play dreadfully. I think that's a little bit unfair. I think that this album is actually quite a good live capture. It's from 1985, so it's after those first 3 really important albums. Welcome to Hell, Black Metal, and of course At War with Satan is after that. But I would say that this is a really good summary, an overview, if you like, of the band's early material. We get some cracking material here. The show kicks off with Too Loud, so Too Loud for the Crowd, of course, which they opened up many a set with in their earlier years. We've got Black Metal, essential stuff, absolutely brilliant. It's probably their defining track, in fact. Then we've got Nightmare and Countess Bathory, Countess Bathory being a personal favourite of mine. Then we've got Seven Gates of Hell, the obligatory and unnecessary bass solo. We've got Buried Alive and Don't Burn the Witch. So you can see it's leaning very heavily towards the black metal album. Then we've got In Nomine Satanus, Welcome to Hell, Warhead, the brilliant Warhead, the standalone track. Schizo, Satanicist, rather. Bloodlust and Witching Hour. So really, it's a pretty good set list. It's just that classic early material. That I would definitely say, going back to what I was saying about Venom being a very fast and loose band, they play very fast and loose, but I wouldn't say they play absolutely dreadfully. It's not like you can't appreciate what's going on. It's not like they sound so dreadful on stage that it's unrecognisable as even being Venom or even being those classic songs. Not at all. I would say that it's not the best live recording of Venom, no, but I would say that it's a pretty good thing. This is definitely more a release for the die-hard fans and for the collectors. For the money that I paid for it, I paid next to nothing for it. A nice new copy. Obviously someone just wanted to get rid of it, but I would say if you can pick it up cheap and you're a fan of Venom, give it a spin. Just take the leap, give it a purchase and give it a spin, because you will not necessarily be disappointed. I think you will be disappointed if you are expecting something which is glistening, polished production, the band playing like virtuosos, and you want the whole thing to be an absolutely pristine operation, because that's just not Venom. Just like you wouldn't expect to hear an absolutely polished, gleaming live set from the mighty Motorhead, of course, because that's just not that sort of music. But I would say Venom, live from the Hammersmith Odeon Theatre 1985, is a good listen for the fans. So there we have it. That's my first item, and we'll keep with the live vein for this one. This is a double live album that I have been aware about for some time, but I don't actually have it on CD, and this is entitled Ein klein Nachtmusik. So apologies for my German pronunciation there, but this is the band's kind of most notable live recordings, I should say, or live album. It's a double album again, trying not to drop the vinyls, as I thought I would take them out the sleeve so I could show them off. Some pretty interesting photography in there. The size of that cigar that Kronos has got is pretty disconcerting, but yeah, Venom looking like Venom, really. Pretty metal stuff. Again, this is a Back on Black reissue from originally released in 1986, so only a year after. Back on Black 2016, so I assume released in 2016 on this label. What would I say about these recordings? Well, most notably, it's two recordings. So the first disc is recorded live at Hammersmith Odeon 1985, so same year as our previous live at the Hammersmith Odeon Theatre, but it is a slightly different set list, slightly different arrangement. And then the second disc is live at the Ritz, New York, 1986. So we've got two different discs, two different live shows, a year apart. What I would say about the first show from Hammersmith, quickly just before I forget, show off that lovely blood red vinyl. Again, both vinyl are the same colour, and it's really lovely red. If that was a drink, you'd guzzle that down. Absolutely. Lovely red. Blood red, in fact. So that first set that we've got there, we've got some really good material there, no doubt at all. We've got Seven Gates of Hell again. We've got Leave Me in Hell, which is a very welcome addition to the set. Die Hard, Schizo, In Nomine Satanus, Witching Hour. So we've got some really good stuff here. but the sound quality on that, in my opinion, is really quite poor. Then we've got the second disc, live at the Ritz, New York, 1986. Now that, to me, is the far superior sound quality out of the two, and it's the far superior set list of the two. Most notably, we kick off with black metal. You are never going to fail as Venom performing black metal, and opening up the show with black metal is a really strong way to do it. Absolutely brilliant. A real treat, a treasure, is the chanting of the priests. Now, I believe that track is from Calm Before the Storm, the album that is widely slated by a lot of fans. They totally overlook that period. However, I would say it's a little bit of an underrated album. It's certainly nowhere near as good as those first three albums. It's certainly nowhere near as good as the album that came after it either. But I would say that it's a bit of an underrated album. You've got some good stuff on there, and I really like the chanting of the priests. I think that's a really good track. Then we've got Satanicist again, Flytrap from Possessed, which again is a pretty overlooked album. I think it's got some good stuff on it. Buried Alive, Welcome to Hell, Bloodlust. We have got Love Amongst the Dead, which I'm not a massive fan of that track, but overall I'd still say that's a good set list. And certainly in terms of the sound quality, the second show live in New York sound way better than the Hammersmith recordings on this album. But again, this is definitely something for the fans. This is for the diehards. This is for those that know the material well, and actually you just like to hear it in a live setting. Certainly if you're a real diehard Venom fan, then you're not going to quibble too much about spending I think I paid about £10 for this. You're not going to quibble on spending a tenner for a lovely double vinyl with two enjoyable shows. Certainly one that is far superior to the other one. But overall, I would still say it's a good album. Ein Klein Nacht Music is definitely worth checking out. So that's our second article. Lovely gatefold vinyl. Beautiful stuff. So then we'll link on to the studio album. I've only got the one studio album in here, and that is the first album to feature Tony the Demolition Man Dolan on vocals, and this is Prime Evil. Again, this is a Back on Black Records release. I believe this was released in 1987. Lovely gatefold again with our lyrics. It is an album that I do have on CD. However, I have heard it and maybe only once, but I felt listening to this again, I felt like I had never heard it before. I felt like this is a totally different experience, and I was really not expecting this album to be nearly as good as it actually is. This is a freaking great album. Prime Evil is definitely overlooked, and I've certainly overlooked it because this is great. We kick off with the track Prime Evil, which is a really weird track, to be honest. I think that's one of the least strong moments on the album. Maybe a little bit of a diversive statement there, but I would say that it's a weird one. It has sort of strange intro noises that sound like a good old dial-up internet. But it's not a really weak song. It's just one of the weaker tracks on this album. It's still good though. We get tracks like Parasite and Carnivorous in particular, and I believe Insane, they are thrashing. That is heavy, that is fast, killer grooves, killer riffs, absolutely love it. Certainly Carnivorous, absolutely rips. That is a thrashing gem, absolutely love it. Blackened Are the Priests is definitely the album highlight. It's the real standout moment. That's a really dark track. It's got this kind of speed metal, thrash metal edge, but it's also got great melody, it's got great rhythms. It's a really powerful track, and I don't know if it's just my ears, I don't know if other fans of this album or those who have listened to this album may also share the opinion or have picked up on this as well, that track in particular, and a few other places on this album, I think that Venom almost sound like early Testament, sort of Testament, the New Order era, or maybe The Gathering. Even even Practice What You Preach. That kind of era, the first 3 albums perhaps, really reminds me of that. Even in Tony's vocals, really does remind me of Chuck Billy. Don't know why, but maybe others share that sentiment. Skeletal Dance, another good track. That's more of a Venom track. It sounds like Venom, definitely. We've got a Black Sabbath cover of Megalomania, it's a really good track. Certainly what is weird is that Venom's performance of that track, it sounds almost like a Saxon song. Again, I don't know if that's just my ears. Other people may have picked up on that, but to me it sounds a bit more like more like Saxon than it does Venom performing a Sabbath song. Interesting. Harder Than Ever that's quite a uplifting one. That's more of an anthemic track. That's the sort of crowd rousing track that's gonna give you motivation, give you strength and drive. Into the Fire, another good one. Then we've got the absolutely disgusting sleazy rock and roller of School Days, which is almost a continuation, like a part 2 to the classic Teacher's Pet. Plenty of juvenile, gross vocals, lyrics on there. It just sounds like a sleazy rock and roller, but there's nothing wrong with that. Then we've got a re-recorded version, if you like, of Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil, turning up the speed and the intensity to 11. It's a very fast rendition of that particular Venom classic, and it does sound really good. It sounds like a really good recording. I would just say overall this is a brilliant album. If you like Venom, you're definitely going to be able to appreciate it. If you like those first few albums, those first 3, maybe 4 albums, definitely. If you just like good heavy metal, thrash metal, check this out. Check out Primeval. This version is a nice, just normal black vinyl, but I paid next to nothing for it, and it's lovely. So there we have it. Third article, Primeval, from I believe 1987. So up next we have a compilation. Now I don't have this on CD again, but I believe this is one of the most recent compilations and probably the most official, the most worth bothering with compilation. This is In Nomine Satanas, 40 Years in Sodom, the neat anthology. And I would say this is definitely a worthwhile compilation or an anthology. Some great photographs and tour flyers and things there. Really cool. Lovely. What is really, really cool, I'll get one of these records out here. Inner sleeves, printed inner sleeves with interviews and bio on it from Dom Lawson in 2019. But I hope you can see this properly and it's not too glary, just to truly appreciate that gold and black splatter vinyl. Absolutely glorious. Really looks the part, really high quality. It's got heavy disc as well. This is not cheap. This is not flimsy. Really awesome stuff. So I don't normally bother with compilations, but the reason why I got this is because I saw it. The seller also had one of the other copies or one of the other albums that I wanted, and they had it on for next to nothing, to be honest. So I thought, to be honest, it's a double album, it's a splatter, it's just a nice thing to have. So took a chance, put a bid, and won it for next to nothing. I'd say peanuts. But although I don't like compilations necessarily, I don't like best ofs, I would say this is definitely a really good starting point. If you were not familiar with Venom, then this track list, this covers those first 5 albums really well. It kind of picks out the main highlights, and there's not too much wrong with it. There is one issue that I have, which I'll get onto in a moment, but we'll talk about side A of the first disc. We've got Welcome to Hell, that brilliant seminal track with those speedy riffs, Kronos' very unique vocals, snarling away. Then we've got Angel Dust, the rockin' and rollin', absolutely brilliant speedy track there. In League with Satan, with its stomping grooves and melody, absolutely love it. In Nomine Satanas, brilliant track, that's on the heavier end of the spectrum. 1000 Days in Sodom, again, brilliant track. It's got plenty of groove. Bloodlust, speedy. Then we've got the second side, which basically covers the main tracks, I guess, the most important tracks from black metal, being the title track, Buried Alive, Countess Bathory. We have also got Teacher's Pet on there, and I would say that I would not choose Teacher's Pet over tracks like Don't Burn the Witch or Raise the Dead. I wouldn't. I don't think that's better, but it is certainly a popular track for the band. The main issue that I have with this, though, this compilation, is the inclusion of At War with Satan, not the full song though, just the intro. Now, you cannot justify the inclusion of At War with Satan intro when you haven't got Don't Burn the Witch. You can't. You absolutely cannot justify that. And also the fact that they've missed off various other absolute brilliant classics. Rip Ride, for example. You can't justify having just the intro of At War with Satan. If you'd had the full track, fantastic. Absolutely glorious. I appreciate that would be probably a full side of vinyl, but just doesn't make sense to me at all. On the second disc, though, we've got Die Hard, we've got Stand Up and Be Counted, Women, Leather and Hell from At War with Satan. Brilliant tracks, really good. Warhead, that stomping, doomy, droney single of theirs that has, although it was not included on an album, it's become a absolute defining track for the band. It's become a real fan favourite. Then we've got Woman, Manitou, Satanicist, Too Loud for the Crowd. Then we've got the title track Possessed, and we've got Nightmare. So really, it's a really good anthology. I would definitely say that it's worth checking out. If you've never heard of Venom, then this is a fantastic starting point. It's a really nice package. I've shown the colour vinyl. It's a gatefold. It does really look the part, and it's just enjoyable. If you want something easy, you don't want to have to think about it too much. You just reach for a copy of this, stick it on, grab a pint, and just listen to some good old Venom. This definitely worth it. In Nomine Satanas, the neat anthology. Pick up a cheap copy. You can get it on CD for about £6-7. Check it out. It's definitely worth it. Better still, check it out, fall in love with it, and then go and buy all the albums. I did it in the reverse order, but that's the way to go. So then we're on to the last article. Now this one I do have on CD. And to be honest, although I had this CD for quite a while, I don't think I've actually listened to it. Or maybe I listened to it once and just lost interest perhaps. But I would say that this is a truly surprisingly good release. This is entitled Sons of Satan, rare and unreleased. This is essentially a demo compilation. Now I absolutely love that cover. I think that's brilliant. That is just screaming black metal. Absolutely fantastic. Really good. And this is totally a surprise. I didn't think that this was going to be nearly as enjoyable or nearly as good as it actually is. Really enjoy this. Absolutely love it. Some great photography there as well. Very dark and brooding. Yeah, brilliant. So what we've got here, and I'll just show you that vinyl quickly, because again, it's a lovely one. I should mention actually that this and the In Nomine Satanas, these are BMG releases. This was released in 2019, and I believe Nomine Satanas was 2020, but just quote myself. No, 2019 as well. So around the same time. Again, another lovely splatter vinyl. Absolutely delightful stuff. Really good quality. Really lovely. Awesome stuff. So as I say, this is a demo compilation. A surprisingly good demo compilation, in fact. However, it is definitely worth mentioning the fact that the first side of the first disc includes Church Hall Rehearsals 1979. So that covers the first side of that first disc. Hope you can see that there. That recording is really poor. But of course it's a demo from 1979. So I wouldn't expect too much else. Definitely those first 5 tracks, which include Angel Dust, the absolutely brilliant track, one of my favourites. Buried Alive, we've got Raise the Dead, another favourite. Red Light Fever, and Venom. So those 5 tracks, they are essential Venom tracks. However, that recording sounds really inaudible at times. It's really raw, rough and scratchy. That recording, that Church Hall Rehearsals 1979, that is definitely one for the diehards. That is one for the fans who will follow and listen to Venom no matter what. Because actually, it's not that enjoyable. It's really, really raw. I have to admit that I have listened to them a few times, but then I have, in the subsequent listens, I've been skipping that rehearsal session. When we get onto the second side, though, we've got the 1980 Impulse Studios £50 demo recordings. Hope you can see that. So that is far better, and that is far more enjoyable. What you get is you've got tracks such as Sons of Satan, you've got In League with Satan, of course, Angel Dust, Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil, Schizo and Venom again. You've got Angel Dust, Raise the Dead. Really brilliant stuff. Do apologise, not Angel Dust and Raise the Dead. Those are of a different recording. That was Impulse Studios' demo session. But you've got those 6 tracks from the £50 demo recordings, and it's great because what you do get is almost like alternative versions. It's fast, it's rough. The sound quality is really good actually for a demo, and because it's Venom and they sounded raw and rough anyway, it sounds brilliant. It sounds like Venom, raw and in the flesh. Sounds like a really rough speed metal ritual. Particular favourites from me there being Angel Dust and Live Like an Angel. But then we've got, as I mentioned, that Impulse Studio demo session 1980 with Angel Dust and Raise the Dead, along with Red Light Fever. All brilliant recordings. Actually, the fact that this is a demo, it sounds just as good in a way as the studio recordings. But again, it's like getting an alternative version. So this is definitely something for the diehards. This is something for the fans. I wouldn't recommend this as a starting point for anyone that wasn't familiar with Venom. But if you're a fan, check this out, because this is definitely an enjoyable, easily enjoyable, easily appreciable listen as well. But the real highlight for me comes with that last track. 1983, we have At War with Satan. Now this version is just short of 14 minutes long. This is the 1983 Impulse Studio At War demos, and it sounds great because it takes out that whole, they remove that whole sort of theatric section of the song where we've got the spoken word part. They take that out. But what we get is we get this really raw, aggressive, thrashing Venom with plenty of groove, plenty of melody, and it sounds brilliant. Kronos, Abaddon, Mantas, all on fine form, absolutely killing it. And I would say, just for that track alone, this is worth getting. This is worth picking up a copy. If you can get it on CD for £5-6, which I think I've seen it at, why wouldn't you? Because if you love Venom, then you'll definitely enjoy certainly the bulk of this. And, of course, that At War with Satan, absolutely fantastic. It sounds utterly glorious. I love it. I will admit that At War with Satan is an absolutely brilliant album. It might not be my favourite Venom album, but it's a favourite. It's one of my favourites. And as I've done that underrated albums episode a few months back, I've got a lot of love for A War with Satan. But overall, Sons of Satan is a brilliant recording, different sort of recording, or compilation I should say really, for the die-hard fans. Check it out. If you love Venom, Sons of Satan, that's a record you want to check out. So just to recap, that's all 5 of my Venom vinyl purchases as of late. Sons of Satan. Then we've got in Nomine Satanus, the Neat Anthology. Really nice one. Really nice package. I do love that cover. Then we've got Prime Evil with Tony Dolan on vocals. Absolutely brilliant. Then we've got Ein Klein Nacht Music. Awesome double live album. And then Total Wildcard live from Hammersmith Odeon Theatre 1985. Really awesome stuff. So check these out. check those albums out. If you've never heard them and you're a Venom fan, check them out. Fill in the gaps in your knowledge, if you like. If you've never heard of Venom, get yourself a copy of Black Metal right now, and Welcome to Hell, and At War with Satan, and then check out some of the more recent stuff. But the essentials would be that early era with those 3 albums, definitely. Check them out. What are your thoughts and opinions on these albums, on these releases? Anyone else got a copy? Interested to hear anyone else's thoughts and opinions on these? Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Very much appreciated. Of course, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm very grateful as always. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. But above all, my friends, do take care and stay heavy.